Team Fortress 2 is one of the most iconic games in video game history. Even if you haven't played the game, you've most likely seen the very popular Meet the Team videos on YouTube. With the game being almost 14 years old as of making this video, it's safe to assume that this game holds a lot of mysteries and secrets, most of which will be covered in this Iceberg chart. To make things less complicated, I'll be using these three health icons to indicate my knowledge on each entry. The full health bar means that I mostly know what I'm talking about, the half full bar means that my information on the entry is limited, and the red almost empty bar means that I can barely dig up any information on what the entry means. So without further ado, let's start at tier 1 of the TF2 Iceberg. The heavy update goes all the way back to the Meet Your Match update back in July 2016. Players were able to vote for which class would receive new weapons, achievements, and rebalances in the next major update. Scoring points in game would contribute towards your vote, and the total votes were displayed as a percentage for the two classes. This event would go on from July 7th to August 14th. Unfortunately, the Pyro won the vote with 56% total votes compared to the Heavy's 44%. This resulted in the Jungle Inferno update coming out in late 2017, with the Heavy update still in development since then. Since it's been almost 4 years since Jungle Inferno came out, many people think that the Heavy update will never be released due to Valve being uninterested in TF2 in general. It's no surprise that nowadays, whenever you enter a casual lobby, you'll see one or more bots in a match. These bots have lasted well over a year or so, and there's speculation that the reasons the TF2 player count is so high is because of them. Valve has attempted to combat these bots, such as taking away voice and text chat from free-to-play players. While this did stop the bots from saying overly offensive things in chat, it also made it so normal free-to-play players couldn't even communicate with their team. The Meet Your Match update brought many changes to the way you find servers in TF2. Instead of the old server browser, you had casual and competitive mode. TF2's in-game competitive mode is pretty bad. Due to its long wait times and unpopularity across the community, many third-party competitive modes such as TF2 Center are generally better than Valve's built-in TF2 competitive mode. Team Fortress 2 on the PS3 and Xbox 360 is very old and outdated. In fact, it hasn't had an update since 2009. TF2 on these old last-gen consoles look kinda interesting, seeing as how they got lost in time and had little to no attention from Valve in the first place. It's also surprising to know that people still play this game, albeit very few, on a console that's 2 generations old. Idle servers are servers where you join and, well, you just stay idle, as the name implies. These servers date all the way back to 2009 when the Sniper vs. Spy update came out. This update added item drops in the game, but the system was vastly different than it is today. Back then, every 25 minutes of playtime, the game calculated a random number to find out if the player would receive an item or not. There was a 75% chance of nothing dropping and a 25% of an item dropping. This resulted in the rise of idle servers, where players would leave their game running in the background and get item drops in the process. This was later patched in April 2010, and then another patch in July 2013 altered the way items drop entirely, that being 10 hours per week maximum for a drop. This is the same drop system we use today. Man vs. Machine's Man Out mode has quite a few toxic players. If you play Man Out mode at least once, well, you know what I'm talking about. The toxicity stems from the fact that you have to pay to play Man Out mode, and if you complete one full tour in Man Out mode, you can earn either an Australian weapon or a bot killer weapon. Some players want to find the easiest and quickest way to win an MVM match, so they swear by the meta, and if you screw up in the slightest, you can guarantee that players are going to vote kick you or call you an absolute moron. Thankfully, it isn't that common to see toxic players at MVM, at least in the games I played before. Due to the game's age and Valve prioritizing other games and hardware such as Dota 2, CSGO, Source 2, and the in-depth Switch-like portable console that Valve's making, the fact that Valve wants to make their own new and innovative products nowadays shows that TF2 is probably the least of their concerns. The game hasn't had a major update since 2017, and although it's possible that an update can come out this year or even a few months, it's very unlikely. The civilian glitch is an odd bug where you can make your playable character enter a reference pose. You can enter this pose in many different ways for certain classes. The reason this is referred to as a civilian glitch is because you have no weapon. Simple as that, really. Refined metal is one of the currencies used in TF2, along with scrap metal, reclaimed metal, and keys. Since the quantity of refined metal is increasing, the value of it has decreased a lot over the years. I also don't want to make this section longer than it should be, so I would recommend you guys watch this amazing video by Orange Glazer, explaining why the value of refined metal has dropped over time. Lamau is a cheap software which was released in 2014. It became popular over time through the phrase "get good, get Lamau box." Lamau has two versions, one free and one premium. The premium costs $20 and the free one is VAC detected, so you pick your poison. The crate depression was a bug that caused unusual items to have a 100% drop rate, rather than the normal 1% drop rate through unboxing certain crates. This impacted the market of TF2 severely and the price of rare unusual hats dipped while some cases rose in value. This bug was resolved rather quickly by Valve, rolling out an update fixing the drop rate to its intended value, and made the unboxed bugged unusuals untradeable. TF2 YouTubers, like every YouTuber, are bound to receive harassment one way or another. TF2 YouTubers sometimes receive harassment when they want to try out something new or play other games. Thankfully, with most old former TF2 YouTubers moving on with the game, people are more accepting with YouTubers moving on from TF2 and doing something else with their channel, which is a good sight to see. The HI GPS balance mod is a mod that completely reworks most of the guns in TF2, looking to make them more balanced. However, it does have its fair share of controversial reworks, such as making the medic syringe gun give 1.5% extra Uber per hit, and reducing the sniper's max ammo capacity. In the Sniper vs. Spy update, 9 hats were released. These hats, however, would be discontinued on January 25, 2013. So you can no longer craft them, they weren't rewarded through the drop system, and you couldn't buy them through the Manco store. New instances of these hats are only acquired through unboxing Manco supply crates, those that specifically list them as a possible unbox result. Why did Valve do this? It's because they wanted to phase out old hats with new, better looking hats. The Spy vs. NG update is pretty much the gunmetal update. The Engineer vs. Spy update was supposedly supposed to have skins and contracts in it, which were both introduced in the gunmetal update, so we're not seeing a second Engineer pistol for a while. BTS, no, not that BTS, is known as Beyond the Summit. This is a TF2 competitive LAN event with a community-backed prize pool for the victor. The reason this event was cancelled was because one of the members came forward and exposed one of the organizers of being, well, let's just say he does something to a person without their approval so that this video doesn't get taken down. Couple that with the fact that there was a lack of communication with some of the people involved in organizing the event. In April of 2020, yes, it was only 1 year ago, the source code for TF2 and CSGO dating from 2017 leaked online, and rumors spread around a malicious code exploit that was supposedly found in the source code for TF2 that can damage your game or system. This resulted in a large amount of people not playing TF2 for a few days before Valve officially said that it is safe to play both CSGO and TF2. Pipe Jesus means when you're playing as Demo Man you have perfect grenade accuracy, or is a nickname for a competitive player known as Banny. That's all I could get on this entry, I'm sorry. Team Fortress 2 in its very early development looked quite different than it did today. It was a more realistic military shooter back then called Team Fortress 2 Brotherhood of Arms. Other than a few E3 1999 clips, there's not much known about this cancelled Valve game. What we know for certain is that TF2 most likely wouldn't have been where it is today. Germa985 is a former TF2 YouTuber. There are many people saying that he looks like the Scout from TF2. In fact, Germa and the Scout are both named Jeremy. Coincidence? TF2's training mode is only for 4 classes: Demo Man, Soldier, Spy, and Engineer. Unfortunately, there is no training mode for the rest of the classes. I literally have no idea what or who this is referencing, but let's just say TF2 can sometimes be toxic and people can cross the line sometimes. The Primeval Warrior is a badge that is similar to the Mercenary badge, except you have to have played TF2 from September 17th, 2007 to October 9th, 2007. You have to play this game in its pre-release beta phase in order to obtain this badge. This makes this badge very, very rare to come by, and if you see a player wearing this badge, you'll definitely lose a 1v1 to them. The repair node is a cut building for the Engineer. This was supposed to replace a teleporter or dispenser and would occasionally repair all buildings nearby before having to recharge. This was cut due to it being very unbalanced and made it harder to destroy Engineer nests. The potted plant is a joke that circulated around the TF2 subreddit. The potted plant was known as the last TF2 dev at Valve. Maybe it is. Catbots are similar to the bots that we see in TF2 today, except catbots were probably the first cheat bots seen in TF2. They were widespread in 2018 before having a huge VAC wave ban against them. The TF2 comics are a series of fun comics made by Valve. The 7th comic is still missing and we haven't had a comic since 2017. Reasons for this vary, but apparently the writer for the comics left, and they don't have an artist for the comic. Apparently in July 2020, Australian wrenches and miniguns were dropped upon completing a torn NVM. This made it so that you had a higher probability to get a golden frying pan from a drop rather than an Australian wrench or minigun. This was quickly fixed in a patch so that people with Australian wrenches and miniguns wouldn't sell them for thousands of dollars. From 2010 to 2013, a public beta branch was open to all premium TF2 players. This beta branch was used for testing out different variations of weapons and with different attributes. Since 2013, there has been no news of another open beta test for all players. With the TF2 source code leak in April of 2020, many developer messages within the code vented their frustration against TF2's annoying script. The guys at Valve definitely lost their mind over this game. The Jungle Inferno CYOA music files are songs from the original TF2 soundtrack, except they have their lead instruments removed. These songs were used for the contractor. The Invasion update, which was released in late 2015, was an alien-themed community update that was added to TF2. Apparently this went through a couple scandals such as delays due to unfinished assets, and Valve and the community makers having some disagreements over payment. Jill is one of the developers for TF2, and no, he isn't a furry. Stout Shaco for 2 Refined is a very old TF2 meme. I literally have nothing else to say about it other than it's an old meme. Dell is the TF2 engineer's first name. His father is a Team Fortress Classic engineer. This is revealed to us through the TF comics. Nullcore is another cheat to TF2 and other source engine games. It features every usual thing you'd see in a cheat such as aim plot, ESP, beat hopping, and so on. I couldn't really find much information on this, but I do know that the Meet the Heavy, Engineer, and Soldier are all accessible through SFM. There's action figures of each of the 9 classes in TF2, however they seem to be discontinued and hard to come by nowadays, which sucks. The pre-Man Economy Unusual unbox rate was 0%, since the first iteration of unusual effects were added in the Man Economy update, so getting an unusual before the Man Economy update was impossible. There's very few unusual gibbous hats floating around in TF2, and they're very expensive. This is quite unusual, since you can basically get the normal hat for free. As for the Max's head, it probably exists, but like with the unusual gibbous, it's extremely rare and expensive. The Jungle Inferno update included 4 unused hats, all of which are reskins of current hats we see today. Although I couldn't find a $250,000 backpack currently documented, taking a look at backpack.tf shows that the most expensive backpack is worth $206,000. Yes, $206,000 for video game items. Team Green, or Team GRN, is a TF2 griefing channel. It has made videos since 2009, but their last video was in 2017. Why did they stop uploading? I have no idea. Robin Atkin Downs, I hope I'm saying that right, is a voice actor for the Meta class. In recent times, he's the one that said metagaming in this well-known clip. Metagaming! In 2003, Half-Life 2, Counter-Strike Source, and many other Valve materials leaked on the internet. Included in all of this were 2 models of TF2's early development. The source code of the game was also leaked too, and that was able to be compiled. This game was meant to be more of an alien versus human battle. It's interesting to see TF2 come from a realistic military shooter to this sci-fi shooter to the cartoony hat simulator we see today. Currently, there are 3 Dota 2 promotional cosmetics: the Sniper's Sniping Glass, Clockwork's Helm, and Storm Spirit's Jolly's Hat. These items have existed in the game since 2011 and was rewarded to participants of the Dota 2 Championship in the same year. On one of Scout's cosmetics, his description reads this: yes, it's a joke, hopefully. I really want this to be a joke, Valve. Please don't make this canon, please. Just a day before the Meet the Spy video's release, it was leaked to the general public. This was due to a bug that allowed iPhones to see videos that were set to private. There are very minor differences between the leaked and released video. However, on the released version, there's an alert panel that says leaked video in the very beginning. Unusual dupes are hats that are cloned due to restoring items or because of bug exploits. These bugs that cause hat duping have long been removed by Valve, but some duped hats still exist out there in the market. The downside on owning a duped hat is that the price will be decreased significantly compared to a normal hat due to people believing that the duped hat could be deleted by Valve at any point in time. Tom Jones is referenced a lot in the TF comics and TF2 in general. His inclusion in them is pretty random and I really don't know what Valve has against this man. Since 2010, there have been many teases on MVM. Many maps included Easter eggs, the Engineer update trailer included an Easter egg as well. It's pretty interesting to see an update that was teased for almost 2 years. I didn't play TF2 from 2010 to 2012, so I wouldn't know if a lot of people knew about these Easter eggs. When TF2 went free to play in 2011, a trailer released to accompany it. This trailer showed a snippet of an unreleased Pyro Melee and Medic Medigun. Self-made keys are awarded to players that upload an item onto the workshop, and that item ending up in the next major TF2 update as one of the items you can unbox in a crate. Very few of these actually exist, which makes them, again, very rare to come across. On June 19, 2012, the Pyromania update was teased through an ARG. It would last 4 days until June 27th when the Pyromania update was announced. Sadly, Pyromania and Man vs. Machine were the only updates to include ARGs. Valve, please bring them back. The propaganda winners for TF2's War update, which included the Soldier vs. Demo Man contest, was Jay Axer, Amber, and John Freeman. So big ups to these guys. It's been 11 years, so I don't know where these guys are at. I don't know any drama about this thing, but what I do know is that Lithium has stopped development since 2016, 2017, and won't be updated anymore. That's good news, right? Noel North voiced the engineer and expiration date since the original voice actor, Grant Goody, was unavailable at the time. Noel North also voiced the soldier for one line since the original voice actor, Rick May, was also unavailable. Surprisingly, the Jungle Inferno update has quite a few unreleased weapons. These weapons are called the Assault Cannon, the Afterburner, the Viewfinder, the Spitfire, the Handy Partner, the Specialist, and the Inside Jab. Maybe we'll see these weapons in the Heavy update? Who knows? Gil is a man that owned Scrap.tf, Marketplace.tf, and co-owned Backpack.tf. He moved on from TF2, so I don't think he owns the entire market, at least anymore. And with the final entry on this iceberg, we have this. In 2009, there was a contest to see which class would get a certain item, these classes being Soldier and Devilman. Players would play as their chosen class, and the class that had got the most kills won the contest and got the new weapon. There was rumors floating around during the time that players playing Soldier were actually cheating, or that Valve had rigged the tallies, which resulted in a victory for the Soldier. However, the item that was rewarded was the gunboats. If Devilman had won, taking away his grenade launcher for gunboats and having only a sticky bomb launcher to rely on would be a pretty stupid playstyle. And that was it for the TF2 Iceberg. I know that this style of video has been done to death across many different franchises, but I thought about making this video for the fun of it. If you like this video and would like to see more of this type of content in the future, consider subscribing and liking the video. If not, well, feel free to dislike it.